Hello, and welcome to another episode of
Bored and Annoyed.
I'm Jackson.
And I am home at the movies.
And today we're going to be talking about a Ron Howard film, since Solo is coming out in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm real excited to see what you think of this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Bored and Annoyed. But we're going to get into news first. So, sad news. Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, died.
Yeah, that's very sad.
Yeah. 69, pretty young.
69 years young.
Yeah, it's a loss. It reminds me, and I think you said this earlier, it reminds me a lot of Carrie Fisher.
Right. Very similar to the Carrie Fisher death in my eyes, on a smaller scale as far as the impact is concerned, just because I don't think she, Lois Lane wasn't quite Princess Leia as far as the, cultural
impact.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've both sort of filled that sort of a charismatic, not quite kooky, but very strong, opinionated.
A little kooky.
Yeah.
Well, we can go ahead and say it.
And they definitely they lived, hard and fast.
Yes.
And I respect that.
Right. Yeah, I was, last I had heard, she died in her sleep, which, you don't want to say that's a good thing when anybody dies, but at least she didn't, suffer, it seems.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So that's good. But yeah, as far as Margot Kidder is concerned, I would say that Lois Lane is probably the most important superhero girlfriend in history.
Right.
And she played that part better than anyone who has come before or after.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah, she was as ballsy as Superman, which made her entertaining.
Yep.
And she was funny, and they had her and Christopher Reeve obviously had a great rapport with each other on screen.
Absolutely.
Lots of very funny moments.
Yeah, scene in the alley is easily my favorite scene in the whole movie as far as those two are concerned.
Right. I would agree. Yeah, that was a really good scene with the bullet. I'm assuming you're talking about.
Yes, when he catches the bullet and but she just gets in the criminal's face.
Right.
Even though they have a gun to her.
Well, and I love the way that she played the character too, because you'd have like one scene that stands out to me is him accidentally crushing his thumb with the orange juice.
Squeeze,
yeah.
Okay,
and you see scenes where she like gives him shit,
right?
And then there's scenes when he's dressed as Superman and she doesn't know that Clark is Superman,
right?
Where she's just like a schoolgirl, I don't know the term, but she's just
a schoolgirl crush,
right?
That's what, yeah. But there was that one bit that you were talking about where she actually said that Lois Lane has sort of like a dual personality,
right?
And that all women are like that. And I think that's very true, but I also think it's kind of true of most people.
It's true of everyone, I would say. What's also interesting about the dual personality thing is like it's funny because both her and Christopher Reeve kind of had to play two characters in a sense.
Yes. I love it.
So I think it was a pretty impressive performance by her, especially when you compare it to, and it's not just the performance, I guess. You could give some credit to the screenwriters and just how well made of a movie it was for its time. But you compare it to like the Amy Adams or Kate Bosworth renditions of Lois Lane, and they just seem so lame and boring.
And one-dimensional.
Correct.
It was, it's ironic. Well, it's not really ironic given that the 70s was, a time for the feminist movement, a very important time.
Sure.
But, you look at these movies came out 20, 30, 40 years later, and they're less progressive.
Right, and we're in an era where, it's Hollywood and, they're purposely being progressive as a sales pitch.
Right,
in some
absolutely.
cases. The new Ghostbusters would have been a perfect example. Was like, don't come see our movie because it's good.
Come see it because you're not a sexist.
Right, yep. And here we are. You have Lois Lane, and you've written a character that you've written a story where the back and forth banter between your two most important characters is not important to the story whatsoever.
Yeah,
which is a problem.
And she has virtually no bearing on the plot whatsoever either.
Yeah, she's brought along for the ride just to be in scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no natural progression or reason for her to be there in multiple scenes in both movies.
So that we know that the man who's running around in tights is not gay.
Yeah, I suppose that is the purpose.
He's not gay. I know he runs around in tights, but he's not gay.
Yeah,
look at his hot girlfriend.
He runs around in tights, Alex, but he doesn't wear underwear over his tights.
Right, because that would be silly.
Correct.
A man's flying and shooting lasers out of his eyes.
Do you agree that it looks odd with him not there? The underpants thing?
I've seen articles about the whole that creates a color balance within the costume, and I'm like, you know what? As stupid as I think it is, I think it does create a color balance.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm not sure how you deal with that because I don't think that the underwear is the solution, but you got to find a way to get some, because it's just this giant blue mass.
Right. And they kind of, I feel like it looked more colorful and appealing to the eye in Justice League.
Right.
When they kind of added some brightness to
even
like
though
the
that
logo.
Even though that movie sucked.
Oh, we still need to give credit where credit is due.
Right, yeah, where they finally started nailing Superman, and not sexually, but in a good way. They finally started getting the character
You're
right.
obsessed with Superman in a sexual manner tonight, apparently.
What can I say?
I mean, he is a strapping young lad, but...
He's probably older than us.
Yeah. Well,
that Widow's Peak definitely says.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, anyways, yeah, Margot Kidder, important.
Yeah.
We brought up Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So, I heard through the grapevine that Man of Steel 2 might be in development finally, and they're eyeing a 2020 release date.
And how do you, as the resident Superman fan, feel about that?
I mean, I want another Superman movie. I don't really want another Man of Steel movie.
Right.
I would watch it, and it could be good. You should let a new director come in. I mean, you should judge each film on its own.
Right.
But the problem is, I think that the whole DC universe is broken at this point.
Well, you think about it narratively. Clark Kent is gone. What do you do with the character now that Clark Kent is gone?
Yeah, I mean, you don't do anything that I want to see because I never have gotten to see goofy, bumbling Clark Kent.
Yes.
And you know what? I don't. You just sold me. I don't want this movie.
Yeah.
Because as much as I do like Man of Steel, sort of. I mean, it's not like Superman to me.
Outside of Wonder Woman, it's easily their best movie.
I would agree with that.
Easily their second best movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I like fun Superman. Mm-hmm. My favorite part of the Christopher Reeve Superman was how big of an idiot he purposely acted like to be Clark Kent. Because that's the disguise.
Yeah.
And that was completely non-existent.
Well, it goes back to that Kill Bill 2 conversation about Superman.
It's so good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That whole monologue is spot on.
Right, yeah. So basically, Bill goes into this whole thing about the thing that makes Superman interesting, and his favorite superhero is the fact that Clark Kent is the mask.
Yes.
And Superman is the true, he wakes up in the morning, and he's Superman.
Yep.
And he has to put on the mask and going to work and whatever he has to do.
And it is his commentary on humanity.
Right.
And that is fantastic and also a little dark.
Yeah, but I think he goes a little far when he starts talking about, doesn't he start talking about how like Superman hates humanity in a sense? Like he goes a little wacky. He has a very dark very dark view of, but the whole concept of the mask being Clark Kent is brilliant.
Yes.
And that's what's interesting. And guess what?
It's gone.
Yeah, we saw him at the end of Man of Steel. That's one thing that broke the narrative for me, is that Lois shouldn't know that Clark is Superman.
Yep.
That breaks a huge...
You played that card you played that card in the first fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, she knew who he was halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he shows up at the planet, and it's like, okay, well... So the next movie, we're going to get to see like Clark Kent at the planet and shit, right?
Never saw it.
No, you see it for like a second. Right. And he's all pissy and doesn't want to write the sports section and goes and chases down clues on Batman because Batman has no right. He's dangerous.
I'm not dangerous because I know me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just destroyed a city.
Yeah. But this guy branding people, he's the real danger.
Right. So how do you fix? How do you go from here?
I don't think you can. Like they tried to do like a hard left turn, and they tried to just make him lighthearted in Justice League, even though narratively it makes virtually no sense because he's all dark when he comes back, and he's all pissed off, and he's like choking Batman. Like,
Yeah, but then he just snaps
he
out of
just
it.
snaps out of it because
Right.
of Lois, the one-dimensional Lois, and also he's one-dimensional, which is so sad. Like, him as Clark Kent is just him as Superman. He just puts glasses on. There is no...
Yeah, they don't get it. And that's sad for people that hate Superman, because I feel like that's their argument for hating Superman.
Right.
It's stupid. He just puts glasses on.
Right.
But they don't understand that it's supposed to be like a complete 180 of a character.
Right.
Like, he's supposed to be such a dumbass that you could never even, like, you would never ever suspect that this bumbling idiot is Superman.
Right.
And
I feel like that works for like an old-timey era. I feel like in the modern age of cell phones and just how jaded everybody is now, I feel like people and conspiracy theories, how big they are now, I think eventually somebody would figure it out.
Sure, no, and of course people would even figure it out back then, but I
Right.
still think that's the way you do it. That's
Right.
my opinion. I
Right.
still think you can get away with
Yeah.
doing it. I think people are willing to have a suspension of disbelief and accept that.
Especially
and
if you-
actually, I would say that what they did in Justice League gave me hope for the character, because
Right.
there were goofy ass scenes. They seemed to be well received.
Right.
Him kind of smiling
And
and
cracking a little joke here and there.
carrying an apartment building.
Yes, him and Flash were the best. Well, okay, I don't like Flash, but their interactions were the best parts of that movie.
Correct. They did fun things with Superman.
Yes.
They did. They tried a couple fun things, and I think they hit.
Yeah.
I would say.
I'm not 100% sure on this movie, Man of Steel 2, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you could do a Ragnarok with him because Henry Cavill is good. He's a good actor. There was that movie with him and oh god, the guy who played Lone Ranger.
Are you talking about the spy movie?
The spy
I never
movie.
saw it. I heard it was good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was probably the best part of the movie. He was very charismatic.
He looks like he's going to be good in that Mission Impossible movie.
Absolutely.
coming out.
So I'm like, he's a good actor. I think he could be a good Superman, but you got to do a lot of the things differently. And as far as I'm concerned, pull a Ragnarok, everything that, because, Ragnarok, everything that happened in the last one that nobody liked, they deal with or undo in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Sure.
And they're like, okay, fuck, now that that's out of the way, let's have a fun time with this movie.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. My question though with Henry Cavill is, he's a good Superman. Can he be a good Clark Kent?
That's a great question, because I haven't seen anything in his filmography that says he can be.
Right.
But I also haven't seen anything that says he can't. So,
Give him a shot, whatever. Or just, you know what, scrap it. Just fucking start over
Right.
the DC universe.
I'm completely fine with that. I have no attachment to anything going on in the DC universe.
I like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and I'm fine with Wonder Woman, but for me, it's like, so there's one bright spot out of all the characters that you put on screen. You got one right.
Yeah, so I think you somehow let her keep the DC universe going. She's her own. She takes
Right.
over the DC universe. Line of dialogue, whatever. Everybody fucking died except for Wonder Woman. Everyone died.
Jackson's answer is, it's too dark. Let's kill everyone.
Sure, yeah, and then you can start with Wonder Woman fresh, and you can do well. You can continue like, she's upset for 5 minutes at the beginning of the movie, and then you have Wonder Woman continue, and then you do the rest of the characters like DC. You failed at this shared universe thing. Let's just go back to making individual superhero films, and you'll hit on some and you'll miss on others. But then at least every time one comes out, everyone's not going to go, this is fucking stupid. It's going to be terrible.
And what I would like as much as I would like to see them just keep her and fix everything else, I don't want to see them sacrifice her movie, because that's actually going to start filming sometime, I think this summer. Actually, they're aiming for end of summer to film that.
So you're looking at, on the slate right now, there's Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Is that it?
That's it. I mean, they're everything else is in pre-production, and I gotta believe that there's a lot of like, do we continue with this or not sort of talk. They want to do a Gotham Sirens which centers.
No, they need to stop it.
Yeah.
They need to stop it.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
I know that there was talk of like a Joker movie with Scorsese attached.
He was going to produce, and they're trying to get Joaquin Phoenix to be the Joker.
And this would be outside of the DC.
This would be set in the 80s.
And this
sort
would
of
be
like a
this
Joker
wouldn't be
origin.
attached to the DC EU
No,
or
no,
whatever. Yeah,
no.
there you go. That's what I want. Do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that. Or you could say that this is like, like the Injustice video games where Superman's a fucking crazy totalitarian. You could just treat these movies as that, and then Wonder Woman goes back and alters things, and oh, hey, look, Ben Affleck's gone, and we got a new Batman, and oh, that stupid fucking kid that's the Flash.
Why can't we just have Wonder Woman just show up and just fuck it? Just keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
And just reboot everybody else. And if Aquaman works, then cool. Jason Momoa can stay. I hate talking about DC.
I know we've got a Marvel,
No,
Marvel man here.
It's not even that. It's that they fucked up their own universe so fucking horribly.
They really did. Screw
And I'm
it
a
up.
huge Batman fan, and I do like Aquaman, and I think Wonder Woman's fine, and I've grown to appreciate Superman, and Green Lantern is fucking cool. But they fucked it all up.
Yeah.
So bad.
No, they tried to. They blew their load too fast, so to speak.
Yes.
They tried to catch Marvel quick without a plan.
Yep.
We're learning what not having a plan does.
Yes.
In my opinion, in both that and I think the Star Wars franchise is going to suffer a little bit. And speaking of that, I just saw that the reviews are coming out for Solo.
Yeah.
And it's an average looking 70-something%.
Yep.
I'm not going to look at what the reviews say.
Yeah.
But, you can't avoid on Facebook's Rotten Tomatoes posted something. But
I will say there was one that I heard, which was, it seems the general consensus is that Donald Glover's Lando is the standout performance in the movie, which is something that I fucking called.
everybody expected that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
I've heard that the guy who plays Solo is nowhere near as bad as everybody's expecting, but I don't want to go too much further into reviews.
It's just interesting to bring up.
Right. I mean, did we expect anything different other than mediocre to crap?
No, I still am hopeful that it'll be better than the last Star Wars movie I saw, to be honest. I don't even care what what did that get, like a 94%?
Right.
Yeah, so this means nothing to me as far as that's concerned.
This is going to be nothing but a popcorn flick with virtually nothing to say.
Maybe that's what we need.
Right, and it's not going to be divisive because of that.
Right.
But it's not going to ring true with the critics because they like that whole deep, no, there's a real message here.
So deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But yeah, we don't have to continue. We don't have to continue on that train of thought. But
another disappointing thing. I mean, this is bored and annoyed people. We're going to be bored and annoyed about a few things.
Yeah, we've had positive things to say so far about Margot Kidder.
Yes.
That's it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, all right. Well, maybe we'll end with something positive. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, another thing that's sort of disappointing. Predator 2 trailer. Or not Predator 2. I'm sorry.
The Danny Glover one? Did you watch the trailer from the 90s?
Yeah, it's a great trailer, actually. The Predator, which is coming out sometime soon. Shane Black
so we
film.
have Predator 2, Predators, and this is the Predator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not complicated at all.
No, yeah, it's overly simplified.
Right. Jesus Christ, why couldn't they just stick with the fucking numbering? But anyways, trailer came out. Does not look good.
No, I think it looks like shit. But it's an early trailer.
Yeah. Opens with a kid finding some sort of Predator memorabilia left from one of the previous films.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden he's
a toy, the Predator toy line from the mid 90s.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he finds it in the basement. He starts playing with it, and then all of a sudden you see, in space, there's a spaceship doing the things that the kid's doing with the toy. Now, we don't know if they edited it to make it look like he's controlling
we
it.
talked about this a little bit off air, that you kind of had a concern that like this was bringing the Predator possibly.
If that's the case, that's shit.
Yeah, I don't think that can't be it.
I would hope not. Because Shane Black is a good writer. And I believe
Did he write it?
I believe he wrote it,
Okay.
too. And that's the thing is, I mean, he wrote, whether you like it or not, Iron Man 3 was a well-written movie.
Yeah, it's well directed. It's well written. I just had a problem with you wasted Ben Kingsley, in my opinion.
I mean, and he did The Nice Guys, and we love The Nice Guys.
Yeah, The Nice Guys is fantastic.
Yeah, and he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is another great
really
movie.
Good movie. Yep.
But he's
got some clout.
Yeah, he's really good.
He knows what he's doing. Right.
Yeah. So I still want to give it the benefit of the doubt because of that.
Sure.
But this did nothing to convince me.
Yeah, no, it looks It looks generic and stupid, and yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel Predator to me. You showed too much of the Predator in the trailer
for a guy who's got
and it's
a
like a
cloaking
minute
device.
and a half. Yeah, and it's like a minute and a half trailer that doesn't show shit, and like 30 seconds of it is Predator footage.
And then Olivia Munn showing up and ruining everything.
But this is going to be the Oscar winner for her. She's such a good actress. She had such screen presence in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, and her show that was on ABC or whatever, that totally lasted more than a season.
I don't know anything about that show. I thought she was a good host on like a nerd show.
Right.
Since then, I have not seen her do anything of note that I can really point to and say, oh, she was great in that.
She's very good at being pretty.
She's good at being pretty, yes.
And we'll just leave it at that.
I'm not particularly excited for this one.
Right.
I mean, I'm a Predator fan. I like the Alien movies. I like the Predator movies.
Right.
I liked the last Predator movie they did.
Yeah, Predators. Adrian Brody.
I thought that was kind of an interesting take.
Yeah.
You know, like the Predator, I want to say Predator Island, but it was Predator like planet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I thought that one was good.
The twist with Topher Grace was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie.
And Robert Rodriguez is good.
Yeah.
And he did a good job.
Yep.
Shane Black's good. Maybe he'll do a good job.
Yeah.
So
another piece of news, another sort of franchise that is getting a revival. Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Officially going into production.
I'm excited for this one, and it has been years since I watched Bill and Ted.
Right.
I don't even care.
Right.
I just remember it was funny to me when I was a kid.
Yep.
I'll watch the first two to get ready for it, but I'm excited.
I watched them probably in the last 3 years. They are silly as fuck. I don't care. It's good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, they're fun little characters.
And this is the first time in, I don't know what, 20 years? Thereabouts, that Keanu Reeves has played this sort of silly
stoner
character again. And I am pumped for silly Keanu again.
Right. Well, I'm glad that he had his big resurgence with John Wick so that we could get led to seeing more of him. Because I like Keanu Reeves.
I do too. And sometimes I don't know if it's all of his acting or his off-screen antics. You know, like gave his seat up on the subway for somebody.
Yeah, those stories that you see on Facebook and shit. Yeah. He's just the best guy.
He does seem really fucking cool.
Yeah, I like him. I like him.
I would love to get him on the podcast. He'd probably have like nothing but nice things to say.
Yeah, well, he's a nice guy.
He
Alex.
is.
Right after we publish this, he's going to be caught in some scandal.
Oh, God damn.
You know, of some sort.
That is how it goes now, isn't it?
Yeah, right. I mean, you can't trust anyone, apparently.
You like somebody and all of a sudden they grabbed a girl's ass.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, he's Keanu Reeves. What are you going to do?
Right.
He's just really high and he grabs some girl's ass. No, but he's back.
He's back.
Right.
God,
did you see that? Did you see that little meme where when Thanos snapped his finger, it killed his dog, and then you're done, Thanos.
I am on board for that. I would watch the fuck out of that movie.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Why not?
I mean, he is good enough to be on the. If Black Widow and Hawkeye can be on the Avengers, John Wick can be on the Avengers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree. Crossover, John Wick.
I want it so fucking bad.
It'd be great if they did something like that, wouldn't it? It would be like, I don't know. I feel like there's been stuff done like that in comics and shit, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there are characters that were created for some of the TV shows that actually show up in the comics.
Right, or like the old Scooby-Doo episodes where it's like, I remember there was one, it was like, oh God, who was it? There was some band, like the Beatles or something stupid like that.
Kiss shows up.
Oh, we're in, there you go. That's a perfect example, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I would love that. Actually, that would almost be a smart business decision as soon as like these John Wick movies are done. Is being like, all right, so we're not going to sell the rights to the character to you, Marvel, but we will pen out an agreement for you to put him in comics.
Yeah, why not? It's like a total comic book character.
He is.
There's an underground like fantasy world thing happening. There's world building. Yeah.
Yep. And it would be, look, been in love with the Marvel Universe for years. We could use the Continental in the Marvel Universe.
The Continental's great.
Yeah. I love it. But that got us talking about what movie from 20, 30 years ago actually deserves a sequel, like Bill and Ted is getting. So the movie that I thought deserved a sequel, or at least there are tons of movies that probably deserve sequels, but this is one that's very near and dear to my heart. Breakfast Club 2.
Okay. How would you put together Breakfast Club 2?
I think that what you do is you have the characters kind of come back for like a high school reunion type thing. And, at the end of the movie, everybody sort of is in a couple. They're all like starting new relationships with people that were in the Breakfast Club with them.
Sure. And you have your assumptions going out of the first movie, like
Right.
where all these characters are going to end up.
Right. And the thing is that life never really goes the way that you think it's going to when you're leaving high school.
That is true.
Never thought I'd be doing a podcast, for instance.
I mean, it was always my dream. I invented podcasts in my head.
Yeah. The thing is okay, so you've got Molly Ringwald and you got Judd Nelson. And we think that they're going to end up together. They don't.
Okay.
You've got Anthony Michael Hall, who, it's pretty great. He actually turned out to be a normal-looking human being.
Yeah, he looks nothing like he did in those movies. It's pretty shocking.
Yes.
I remember he had that Stephen King show on TNT or whatever. I forget the name of the show, but you saw him, and I had no clue it was even him.
Yep. Well, and he's got kind of the cool thing that he can say to all the rest of the actors, which is, I was in The Dark Knight.
He was. He got kidnapped, but yes, he was in The Dark Knight.
He was technically there. Anthony Michael Hall, as I said, he turned into a normal-looking guy. So why don't we play up the sort of like Revenge of the Nerds type thing, sort of the stereotype. He went off and he made it big. And, maybe he's got like a model wife.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But here's the thing. The wrinkle is that that's so stereotypical that you have to actually have him doing a sort of fall from grace sort of thing, in that he's losing his money. He became rich, but he's losing his money, but he doesn't want people to know. He's putting on that bravado.
Right. Okay.
And
so he's like Dan Aykroyd in The Great Outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the cocky, like,
Yes.
I'm making up for you guys all laughed at me, but look at me now, ha ha ha. But really inside it's just all a sham, and he's an asshole.
Exactly.
Right.
And his wedding's a sham. His wife's off cheating on him with, polo players or whatever.
That's interesting, because he was kind of the most innocent character in the first one. So now you've kind of turned that on its head, where he's kind of detestable in a certain way.
He is. He
Sure.
is. And, the thing I love about that is one of the best scenes is when he breaks down about bringing a gun to school. Or was it a gun?
I don't remember.
I think it was a gun. Maybe it was a knife.
You're probably a bigger fan than I am.
I think
of
it was. I think it was
series.
a gun. God, I can't remember. Jesus, I feel bad now. That's like on a, I watch it like once a year kind of movie.
Yeah, well, apparently you're an utter failure as a John Hughes film watcher.
Well, and that's the other thing, is I love sort of the John Hughes sort of innocence, sort of it's incredible. His movies are incredibly sincere.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I think that cinema is kind of missing that, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, there hasn't been a movie like that, I feel like, in a while.
Yeah.
Like a really good quality film that's also a comedy.
Yes.
And I could be wrong. There could be something I'm not thinking of.
Right. But I mean, so you got Molly Ringwald and you got Judd Nelson. They didn't end up together. And Judd Nelson, he's the punk. He's the one who fights the system. You think that he's going to be, you don't know where he's going to end up, but you're not quite sure it's going to be a good place. So the principal is gone. He's the new principal. He has sold out.
That's perfect.
And it's one of those things when the high school reunion, he's the principal at the very high school that he was at.
Oh God.
And so when the reunion comes around, it's sort of that thing when he sees Molly Ringwald, and they're both married, but neither of their marriages are going well. Maybe one of them's divorced.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that sort of throws in sharp relief what has happened to your life. That whole seeing your old flame thing brings everything back about what you thought you would be, what you thought could have been, and how you're lacking now. And I think that's great for the characters. And, Emilio Estevez. I love Emilio.
Poor Emilio.
Poor Emilio, who I think it was Family Guy who said, like, he had the good graces to leave the public consciousness.
And nobody cared.
and nobody cared. And
But it'd be good to see him back.
It would.
Yeah, I would agree.
Him and I can't remember the goth girl's actor's name. They actually end up together. And they can be the ones who actually turned out well.
Okay.
Now I'm sure that we could find something for their characters to do, but
There's got to be a conflict of some sort.
Yeah, maybe it's their kids.
Sure. Yeah, you got to have kids.
Right.
Yeah, there's got to be kids involved in this.
Well, and that's the thing is I'm like, God, it is fucking cliche to have the kids, but I do love the idea of you can parallel the parents' journeys with their children.
Sure, it's interesting.
Maybe they shouldn't be identical, but it's sort of I don't know. I go back and forth on the kids, if I'm honest.
Well, I think it'd be fun to have, the Judd Nelson's kids like a dweeb,
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they ended up with versions of the other kids that they didn't like in high school or whatever,
And I would love it too, since 80s fashion is such a big thing now. I would love it if maybe the kids are wearing some of that sort of 80s inspired fashion and the parents are like,
God,
go
wild.
You look like an idiot.
Yeah,
what are
you
you
go.
wearing?
Right.
And then they see pictures of themselves at that age.
Yeah, the daughter's wearing like the shoulder pads or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down for that. So that is a movie that I would like to see that, we already discussed earlier in a different episode that if you let a sequel ruin the original, that's on you.
Yeah, I would say that is true.
And I think that holds up here.
Yeah, it could be a fun, like Dumb and Dumber 2 doesn't ruin Dumb and Dumber.
Absolutely. I still enjoy Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
But what's your movie that you would
so my choice, since we were going to do this, the one I chose was They Live. Which is kind of a fun movie that most people know of.
Yes.
It's kind of a cult classic.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be fun to do a sequel to They Live.
Right.
And I think now's the time to do it.
Right.
So at the end of the first They Live, well, first off, just to give a brief synopsis of They Live, it's a movie with aliens where Roddy Piper and Keith David are kind of like construction dudes who end up having these glasses. Right. There's this underground society of people who have these glasses where when they put the glasses on, they can see who are aliens. And the aliens are putting out their subliminal messaging to kind of try and bend humanity to their will. The assumption is they're trying to take over the world, whatever.
Right.
Anyways, the end of They Live, the good guys are victorious. They destroy some sort of a beacon on top of a building. It's like a antenna. And apparently, when they destroy it, the movie's left with, you don't need the glasses anymore to see the aliens. Right. So here's what happened. Okay, so that was the end of They Live. You didn't see all of the aliens die. So what happened was there was a group of these aliens in Russia. And quickly, the Russian government decided, like, okay, we can use this to our advantage. Let's side with these aliens. They obviously have some sort of knowledge of technology that we don't have. We're going to gather a bunch of them. We're going to put them down in a lair. We'll keep them safe, because now the humans know who they are.
Put them in a lair so they're safe.
Right, yeah, they're going to be safe. Yeah, so we're going to use them. We're going to use them to, we're going to use their technology and their knowledge of basically campaigns and subliminal messaging, marketing, whatever.
Right,
correct.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to use their subliminal messaging know-how to influence foreign affairs with our country, and hopefully that'll give us a leg up, government wise. So basically, what ends up happening is fast forward to present day. Actually, no, it can be the future too. It can be somewhere in the present day.
Let's see where this is going.
Yeah, so present day, they have rebuilt the infrastructure necessary to hide their.
So they're still going out and buying bread on the street.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have they've rebuilt the infrastructure. They can now hide again. And what they have done is they came upon social media in the mid 2000s. What would you call that? Not the 2010s.
The aughts.
The aughts, whatever.
I don't know. That's what the hipsters call it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the
aughts.
millennial era.
Right.
They have decided they are going to use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these places, and they are putting these subliminal messages out there. So this ties into the whole Russian interference in our election thing.
The Russian bots.
It's not the Russians. It's the aliens. Yes.
Oh, we are on top of it.
Now, I want to find a way where Donald Trump is an alien. He's got to be an alien somehow. The problem with that is where I'm having trouble with this. And hey, feel free to tweet us or come up with some other solution to make him an alien. But the problem is, when it was revealed that they were aliens, he would have been found out. So maybe he's a clone. Maybe he's, just whatever. Or maybe he's just a traitor to the humans, and he is a human who is working for the aliens.
Or maybe he has no idea that they want him to be president.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, he's completely oblivious to all of this, but the aliens have put him in power.
They're like, we like this fucking guy.
So basically, there's got to be a conflict. It's got to have some action, So John Cena is our new hero. He's an American. Right. He's an American.
Sticking with the wrestler motif.
Right. He's an American. He's not a soldier, though. He's in Moscow on vacation.
Oh, is he a family man?
No, he's a nomad, kind of like the original Roddy Piper character.
Okay, you're going to keep him badass.
He's a relative of Roddy Piper's character.
There we go.
Yeah, he's like a cousin or nephew or something.
Okay.
And he is in Russia, and this is like your, you've got Die Hard movies that have gone to other countries. It's kind of a nice little spin on it. You do Russian They Live. But this one's tougher because the people aren't as they're not as free over there. There's issues with whatever. But how he finds out the aliens are still alive, that's all open for debate. We can figure that out another time. But the point is, you have a They Live movie, cheesy as hell. Mm-hmm. John Carpenter directs. You've still got the synthesizer type score.
Right.
You still got the stupid dialogue. You got to throw like an 8-minute long fight scene in there somewhere.
Right. Like that alleyway fight?
Yeah, classic. So yeah, they're in the first They Live. There is a 7-minute long, literally 7 minutes. And you think that sounds like, it's just 7 minutes. But 7 minutes of two guys bare knuckle fighting is a long fight scene.
About put these glasses on, you'll see that people are aliens.
No, I don't want to put the glasses on.
But just put them on.
Yeah, that's the whole scene, and it's a classic scene. I think South Park with the
two handicapped.
Timmy and Jimmy. Yeah,
yes.
they reenacted the
like
fight
shot
scene.
for shot.
Yeah, it's great. But anyway, that's my pitch. You got to work in Donald Trump as a They Live alien puppet, because how else do you explain, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, how the hell else do you explain the fact that Donald Trump became the president?
So I love all of this.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't?
And two, what if Donald Trump is actually an alien himself? And okay, so you said that the towers that hid their identities are all gone. And the sunglasses, they're gone. The glasses that allow people to see.
Yeah, we're going to have to get new glasses in the movie.
Maybe that's like the crux of the movie is finding the glasses.
Yeah.
The search for the glasses.
Sure.
And stopping whatever the aliens are trying to do with Donald Trump.
Sure, yeah.
But what if he's like the alien, and these aliens just kind of go from planet to planet, but every time they end up on a planet, he's just the one who has to end up famous and in charge.
Yeah, that's his personality. It's perfect. Or like they go from planet to planet, and they find like a famous person who in the private sector has and this would be different for They Live, because we really never got into the alien thought process in the original They Live.
You're expanding on the lore.
Yes, expansion on the lore. So they've done this before. They always find like, okay, we got here, like let's find our famous business person, private sector, intelligent guy who like has made a bunch of well, I mean He has some form of intelligence.
Yeah,
I mean, he
suppose,
did become president.
I suppose that's true.
But the point is, this time they picked the fucking they can't figure this guy out. It's a huge problem. He's causing him more problems than he's worth.
It's like a Pink Panther scene when they're trying to like abduct him and like change bodies with him or whatever.
Sure. And here's what's interesting is the fact that they chose him. Like, he's gonna be the hero of this because they chose him, and he's gonna be like the Mr. Magoo who's accidentally, the Jar Jar Binks who accidentally does something that,
Misa gonna clean the swamp.
Right. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's my movie. John Cena is the star. We can have, doesn't really matter anybody else who's in the movie. You need Keith David. I can't remember if his character died, but if he didn't die,
he can come
still
back.
a big Keith David fan.
He can come back.
He was great. He was great in The Nice Guys. We brought up The Nice Guys.
Yes,
he was in that movie.
Yes, he can be the the old sage of the movie. Like he knows he's the wise.
He's the guy. He's the guy. The classic character who everybody thinks is crazy because he doesn't think the threat is over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, there's always that guy who's like the nutty,
Absolutely.
and then he ends up being correct, and then everyone goes to him.
Yep, like the dude in Independence Day.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah, like Brent Spiner.
Yes.
Hey, damn, I just named Brent Spiner. I pulled that out.
Yeah, you did. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. He played Data in Star Trek.
Yeah. Wait, no, that wasn't. I'm talking about the farmer who's
Randy Quaid.
Yes.
Well, he's easy.
Well, you knew both of them, and I didn't know either. So there you go. I'm fully on board with this. This is a great pitch. This
needs to happen.
It's like a They Live 2, The Search for the Glasses.
Right, something like that. Correct.
Yeah.
They Live Again.
They Live Again.
Right.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Hashtag. Yeah, no, you throw a hashtag in too, because this is, they're experts with the hashtag.
Oh my God.
The aliens are.
Like the poster is just like all hashtags that form into like the picture of Donald Trump. And then it's just They Live Again.
Right. Well, you've got to somehow work Donald Trump's hair with the They Live alien face in the movie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Iconic.
I'm sure it's out there on Google or something. Like, you got to be able to find a Google image of that. It has to exist.
And if not before this, after this you will.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'll create it.
Yeah. Perfect.
So I do have one more pitch.
All right. Let's hear it.
So here we go. Hold on. Buckle up, kids. Travolta. Cage.
Does it just keep getting worse?
Sam Jackson.
All right, that's a little plus.
Goldblum. Face Off squared at face value. Four faces, two sides, one showdown.
Okay. What's the plot of this? Where are you still going on your?
No. That's all the log line for you.
Okay.
So
let's hear it.
I don't know if I have much of a plot for this one. I don't know if you need much of a plot because the first movie has virtually no plot. We got to find a bomb. And so the most logical thing for me to do is take off this criminal's face, go into prison, and find out where the bomb is. That's not much of a plot. Second one, so Nick Cage somehow survived the first one. I don't care how.
Now, did Nick, the real, what's his name?
Castor Troy.
Castor Troy. So Castor Troy survived.
I am Castor Troy.
Yeah. Okay, so Castor survived.
He survived.
Is John Woo coming back to direct this?
Yes.
Yeah, he has to. I was going to say.
And every time that they change faces, the dubs fly.
There you go.
So I think Jeff Goldblum maybe should be a relative of Nick Cage.
Okay. Who are the villains? Do we have two villains, two heroes?
Nick Cage and Jeff Goldblum are the villains.
Okay.
But there's going to be like some swappity swaps going on.
You've got to have multiple swaps.
There's multiple face switches, so everybody gets a chance to play everybody else in the movie.
Okay, so you're going to get to see John Travolta play Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes. And then John Travolta play Jeff Goldblum. That's going to be atrocious.
Jeff Goldblum playing anyone else is going to be hilarious.
Oh my God, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I would agree.
You cannot tell me that this is a movie that you're not excited for.
How does Nick Cage play Jeff Goldblum?
Well, you see, life finds a way.
Yeah, there you go. I'm game. I'm there opening night.
I am fully on board for that. I don't even.
It's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible.
And that's why it's going to be great.
All right. Well, yeah,
because I am fully okay. So we have discussed Face Off, and it's not a good movie. It's flat out not.
No, it's pretty bad.
It's silly as fuck, and you can tell that John Travolta and Nick Cage think that they are doing something.
Well,
great.
that's what's fascinating about it is like I'm pretty sure, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, and people can look this up, but I'm pretty sure if you go look at reviews of Face Off, critics acted like they just did this fantastic job.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because they were both kind of in their like late prime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were still famous. They were still draws. Like when people heard they were in a movie, they thought
Nick Cage was in his prime for sure.
Yeah, Con Air and all that shit came around then.
Yeah. John Travolta was I don't know.
When did
he have a prime? He had
Grease.
He had Grease.
Yeah, I mean,
and Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, but he was
whatever.
like, he had like Phenomenon and stuff. That
Yeah,
he popped up. And Swordfish was another one.
He had a couple random movies that sort of show, but he never had a
Battlefield Earth.
Oh God. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe it should have been Forrest Whitaker instead of Sam Jackson.
There you go. Oh, they'd get
How are you going to do this? For the rebellion.
Now be careful, because I don't think many people have seen Battlefield Earth.
It's a terrible, terrible movie where they play aliens and it's based on Scientology. That's all you need to know. And they all have dreadlocks and they all have platform shoes.
When I first saw it, I liked it.
I saw it.
That's sad, but I'll admit it.
I dragged about 8 people from middle school to go see that for my birthday.
Oh, God. I'm assuming they're not your friend anymore. They're all gone.
They're what I call my realist friends, my Facebook friends.
There you go. Sure. All right. But anyway, so you've got these 4 guys. I'm assuming there's some sort of MacGuffin.
There's a thing you got to find. You got to do a thing. Maybe there is no MacGuffin. Maybe it's just Nick Cage wants revenge against John Travolta, and Sam Jackson is like John Travolta's new superior officer.
So Nick Cage has to take Samuel L. Jackson's face to order John Travolta to switch faces with Jeff Goldblum. And then from there, you can just kind of...
And from there, it's just kind of a who's who. That's a great pitch. Who's under the face? You don't even know at points.
You know from the performances. Because of the way they act, because he's acting Goldblum.
So we're not going to insult the audience. We're going to be like, you'll figure it out.
Right, exactly.
You'll figure it out with John Travolta's great acting.
Yeah, well, you know what has never made sense about Face Off too? Like, maybe they explained it. Did they explain like the body shape sizes changing?
Yeah,
like, they didn't change their entire skin. I feel like there was something.
They did a quick little line of, we'll do some liposuction and we'll laser hair removal.
Okay,
a lot of that stuff.
No, that's fine.
It's fucking, that movie is so ridiculous. Like the whole I could eat a peach for hours. No woman's turned on by that.
No, I mean, it's what they think of us over in Asia. Apparently.
They think that we're all Nick Cage.
John Woo, baby. John Woo, he gets it done.
John Woo cannot woo the ladies.
Look at Mission Impossible 2. John Woo's Mission Impossible movie, and compare it in tone and just everything about it with every other movie in the series, especially the first one. You went off the first one, which was like this, like really thoughtful, kind of slow burn,
right?
Like, intriguing movie, like, and then you went to John Woo, and you've got like people flying off of motorcycles.
Yeah, I was
remember.
Gonna say, that's the only bit I remember.
Yeah, and the plot was like, there's a virus and there's a cure.
And I feel like there was wigs involved, but I can't remember.
I don't know, but
I saw that in theaters the one time.
Tom Cruise did have some sweet long hair in that second Mission Impossible.
Wasn't that the poster was just his hair like
Yeah, with
flowing
the
in the
gun,
breeze?
and he was like
Yes.
on this motorcycle.
He knew what his selling
And
feature
Metallica
was.
did the single. I remember that movie.
I do remember that song.
Yeah.
That was the single greatest thing about that movie.
I
was the
Disappear
song.
was the name of the song.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, John Woo.
Yeah.
I think he made like the Replacement Killers. I don't think I've ever seen any of his like actual real movies like in Asia.
Yeah. I haven't either. I feel bad saying that, but I know I should. There's an episode right there for the future
Like
podcast.
real John Woo.
Yeah, that's what it'll be called. It'll be called the Real John Woo episode.
Yeah. And no one will listen to that.
Yeah. But there was another movie that you actually told me that you were thinking about doing for a sequel, and then we found out that they're actually kind of working on it.
Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of want to see that. It's a good movie. But that brings us to our actual review this week.
Yeah, with the upcoming Solo movie, we were kind of bouncing around like, oh, what do we do? We don't really want to see anything this weekend. I was out of town.
Yep.
What should we do? I brought up that I kind of wanted to watch Rush, and the idea was maybe I'll watch Ron Howard and you watch Ron Howard. But then you brought up this In the Heart of the Sea, which neither of us had seen.
Yes.
And it was his latest movie,
Yep.
so perfect. Let's watch that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Ron Howard, real quick.
I think he is very hit and miss. Because Rush is a great movie. And I actually still kind of enjoy the first, what was that, the Da Vinci Code?
That he did those. That's right.
Yeah. I still enjoy the first one. I mean, it's fine for a once-off sort of view. Second one's terrible.
Okay.
I mean, from what we're hearing about Solo, that's not exactly a home run either.
I think he's a safe director who's made some really good movies.
I think he's pretty good at cinematography.
Yeah.
There were quite a few shots in Rush that I really enjoyed.
Rush is amazing.
It's
as far as a sports movie, it's one of the better sports movies. And I don't
Absolutely.
feel like enough people have seen it. So if you haven't seen Rush,
Yeah.
watch Rush.
Some of the best performance. I remember actually being actively upset that neither of the actors, Chris Hemsworth or Daniel Bruhl, actually got an Oscar nom.
I feel like the movie might as well have never come out.
Yeah.
Honestly. And it's good. Like, it's really good. I was
Yeah.
shocked when I watched it by how much I liked it.
Oh my God. I loved it. I loved it.
But yeah, so there's that era. Now, when I think Ron Howard, I think Apollo 13.
Right.
A Beautiful Mind.
Right. Yeah. He definitely hit his stride early.
Yeah, great movies.
Yes.
I mean, both of them are fantastic. Another one he did that was really good was Cinderella Man, which was another Russell Crowe vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he knows how to make a good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has had some stinkers in there, I think. I don't have the whole list of his movies in my head. Obviously, I remember the good ones.
Right.
Apollo 13 is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
it
really
really is.
good.
It is.
Like, as far as, a gripping, dramatic story, everybody liked that movie, So he knows how to work with actors. He's had good actors in his movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he does do some stinkers.
Yeah,
And
and-
speaking of stinkers, this is really weird.
Is it a stinker?
So we text back and forth. We didn't watch this movie together. I watched it before you because of your wedding obligations. So I text you about halfway through the movie and said, Jesus Christ, this movie is fucking terrible.
And I replied saying, say no more.
Yep.
I don't want to hear anything else.
You wanted to experience it for yourself.
Correct.
And then when I finished the movie, I knew I couldn't say anything because the movie had completely turned around and through sheer force of will made me like the movie. Not 10, 15 minutes after I sent that text.
It's funny that both of us, and it's funny because anybody listening to this is probably going to think like we're full of shit and we came together and came to this conclusion.
Right.
But it is bizarre.
Yeah.
That the beginning of the movie is a mess. I mean, it is a disaster.
Yes.
On every level as far as storytelling is concerned.
Yep.
You have wooden one-note characters.
Yeah.
You have a weird setup as far as how this narrative will be told with a time difference going on between there's two characters, one of them's telling the story,
Right. And then you're going back and seeing the story.
that's being told, right? So it's got like a Princess Bride kind of feel to it, where you have something that's a little detached from the rest of the
right.
actual
But doing
ongoing
a
narrative.
terrible version of that.
Yes, Terrible.
A terrible version.
Plot. So basically, quick plot synopsis. It's the true story of what Moby Dick was based on.
Yes.
So basically, it's about a whaling vessel.
Yep.
Bunch of different characters on the whaling vessel. They go out to sea. Basically, disaster strikes.
Right.
Eventually.
Yes, as it would if it's the inspiration for Moby Dick.
Right. So the disaster is there's a giant whale.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then your other plot, the one that you're saying sort of breaks the beginning a little bit, is one of the survivors. What we think is the only survivor is actually telling this story to the guy who eventually ends up writing Moby Dick.
So we're presented that this character is the only living person from the vessel, the mission. So we hear that, and both of us, I think, thought... He's the lone survivor. So everyone else is going to die. So I'm sitting here watching this movie like, well, shit, what the fuck's the point? There's no...
Exactly. You took all the tension out of the film. Well, then things happened.
Yeah, right.
Or spoiler-free. Let's just do spoiler-free real quick. What are our quick thoughts other than it's broken at the beginning and it becomes good at the end?
My thought on this one is that it's like really interesting. I would recommend seeing it barely.
Yeah, this is... And
if you don't care about shit, if you just want, like, you know, if dumbed down plots and wooden one-note characters don't bother you...
Yeah, then you'll probably like it the whole way through.
Right.
And no judgment if those things don't bother you.
No, exactly.
They just piss me the fuck off because it's lazy.
It was really bad at the beginning. I mean, it was.
I mean, even the acting at the beginning wasn't good.
But yeah, so I guess both of us are...
It's a barely recommend because I feel like I feel like people need to experience it, is what it is.
If you're interested in film as an art form, you should watch it.
Yes, because the beginning is what not to do, the movie. And then the end is, holy shit, look what you can do with just performance and music and... Holy fuck! Like it saves itself.
It's very yeah. So spoilers now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got your cast of characters. You have Thor playing the main character.
Yep.
You have a kind of he's the first mate on the ship. He thought he was going to get a captain's job, but his conflict in the movie is basically that he got screwed because he was only given the first mate seat.
Yeah, because he's getting a little bit of there's a little bit of prejudice against him because he's a landman.
Yeah,
his
he's
dad
like from
wasn't
a farm family.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and his dad did something. I don't even remember what the story was, but his dad was kind of an asshole, or he was disgraced somehow.
His dad was just pissed off about his life not turning out the way he thought it would.
Okay, yeah. So there's that character, and then the other character is the captain, who is born into wealth, and he's got his family has been in this whaling thing forever, so he didn't earn his place.
Absolutely,
he was just given the captain's chair,
and he's kind of stereotypical. He's kind of what you would call a Weasley prick.
Weasley prick, correct. So you have the Weasley prick and Thor. And Thor is, I don't know. I thought it was pretty boring, pretty lame. These characters have no reason to really dislike each other. They've never met each other.
Right.
When we're introduced to them and their conflict, which is, I would say, the main conflict of the movie as far as the characters are concerned.
Right.
Basically, it's a scene where Thor is being told that he didn't get the captain's chair, and the guy who's going to be the captain is sitting outside of the office hearing this conversation, and he's hearing Thor like say, get all pissy about it, you know, whatever. It reminded me of like if two kids are fighting in class in like middle school or something, and they get pulled to the principal's office. The principal talks to one kid at a time, and it was just an immature, shitty, fucking stupid way to create a conflict between your two main characters.
Perfect analogy. Perfect. Because, that's exactly what it was. You had this sniveling little weasel prick out in the hallway listening to Thor get, all pissy.
The tough guy. The tough guy's getting all pissy, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the reason they dislike each other. There's no attempt at making you see both of their points of view or giving either of them any sort of a layered character, setup.
They are absolutely one-dimensional characters.
Right.
it's quite atrocious, really. But yeah, they get out to sea.
Yep.
And then one of the first things that Hemsworth does, Thor, is he's just like, well, I'm going to I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm just basically going to act like I'm captain because fuck it, I am. So while the captain is actually still asleep in his quarters, he's like, hey, let's get the knots all ready for whatever the fuck. And then Captain comes out and he's like, well, to prove that I have a bigger dick than you, undo everything that you just did and take us into that deadly storm so I can prove that I'm in charge.
Yeah, the storm thing was okay. That I was like, this is awful. Why would they ever do this?
And that brings me to one of my least favorite things, which is the special effects during that sequence. And the special effects in the movie, it's just like the rest of the movie. They're shit at the beginning, and they somehow turn around in the second half and actually become legitimately good special effects.
Yeah, I would say that's true. But I like the look they were going for, even in that scene.
I understood what they were going for, but they clearly did not light it right because it's very green screeny, and you can tell because the background lighting does not match the lighting that's on the characters.
Like, aura of a color palette that's going on.
Yeah, they were going for like a weird sort of like when it's really atmospheric out and when it's like a thunderstorm, but like the sky almost becomes like orange.
Yes, completely. Like there's a tornado coming.
Yes,
that's what it reminds
That's what they were going for, but it looked horribly fake. And it's one of those things where if you know anything about green screen, you know that there's sort of this cheat that you can do if you're green screen, like you're getting bounce back from your green screen, you're getting an outline, is you can just sort of blur the edges. And that's what all the backgrounds were, is just all the characters had blurry edges around them. And it looked awful.
Yep. I can agree with that. And that was the case too when they were still on land, and like there was I thought everything looked like shit when it's like, okay, well, you have him working on his shed at home, like when you're doing like the home scene at the farm or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like you have him working on his shed, but in the background when he's talking to his wife, there's like this huge CGI vista.
Yeah.
It's like it's totally unnecessary.
I also don't think that he could afford that vista, if I'm honest. That's prime real estate right there.
He's Thor.
But he's not even a captain. He's a landsman.
That's true. He is a landsman. Yeah.
So, by the way, me and the girlfriend started calling the captain smartly, because there's a point when they're going out and they're hunting the whales. And he just keeps on going, smartly, lads, smartly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was his whole, it was so one note. It was such one note garbage. Like,
yes.
Okay, this guy, he grew up in a sailing family. Surely he's not like a complete fucking idiot.
Nope,
right?
Wrong.
No, no, he knows how to do nothing.
Yeah.
He should be experienced on boats, and you know, like he should know. They treat him like he's just fucking retarded.
Sorry, I've been counting my doubloons all day.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, he's just I'm just gonna sit down in the office with my brandy.
Yes, I'm going to write no whales in my log again.
Right.
I've been doing this all day.
That's all he does. Yeah.
It's
terrible. But yeah, no, continue. So you had the storm, the stupid storm. They survive that.
Yep. But then they finally find one whale, but they haven't been finding whales at all. They've been out at sea for like 13, 14 months.
Okay, which touches on my biggest problem with the script is you keep telling us that all this time has gone by. And okay, like in my head, I can go, oh, God, that must really suck to be on a ship for that long of a period of time. But they don't attempt to make you feel it through the way the characters are acting. Like, I'm watching this show, The Terror, on AMC, and the plot is basically these two ice-breaking vessels are on this years-long journey, and every episode you can feel that these people are starting to get squirrely, and it's starting to really wear on them.
Yeah, it's actually a fantastic show. Everybody should actually
start
watching
it's good if you enjoy that sort of thing. But my point is, I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, this is the opposite. They are not nailing this at all.
Right?
They are completely whiffing on this.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even bother.
No.
Yeah, which is weird because there are a lot of things that they do later on in the movie, like I said, that they really nail. So it's so strange that they missed such an obvious choice.
Right. Right. If your movie is about this, you should probably show some care in,
Right.
like trying to give a feeling, to make you feel like a certain way while you're watching its tone.
Right. Absolutely. But we both agreed that basically the moment that it becomes good, so basically they can't find any whales, and they go to sort of this port, and they find this Spanish captain, and he's like, I lost my whole crew. We went out whaling further than we should have, and when we got out there was a demon. There's a demon whale out there. It was like 100 feet long or 100 yards long, something like that. And so that's when they decide to go out there, and they're like, well, we're going to go out here.
This is like 45 minutes to an hour into the movie when we're finally being introduced to this interesting plot point regarding the giant Moby Dick.
Right. Which is ironic that this is the story that inspired Moby Dick, and it took them an hour to get to the Moby Dick part of Moby Dick.
Right.
So that's when the movie actually got good, because they don't fuck around. They get out there, they find that whale. Okay, so they see all these whales, and they're going after the small.
It's a great scene.
It is.
Just seeing the whales, it's majestic. It gives you this feeling of like, awe. To me, it was interesting because I'm thinking to myself, like, what these asshole illegal whalers do now with their big cannon, technology and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, no, I have no respect for you, but, say what you want about whaling being awful, but these badasses that did it were doing something commendable in my eyes.
It was one of those things where, like at the end of the movie, one of the characters actually goes out and keeps whaling. And I'm like, no fucking way do I go and do that.
Yeah, no way in hell. No chance in hell.
But you also see just the physical act of them. They actually have to physically throw the harpoons. They don't have a harpoon gun.
Correct.
And they have to sort of like measure how much rope they need, and they sort of had to do like these things where they had to actually tie different ropes. Anyways, point being, they finally found the whales, and then the Moby Dick whale shows up. And because of Thor's hubris, he decides to try and harpoon it from the main ship, not one of the, because they use the small little escape rafts to actually do the whaling.
Right, but you're not going to do that with this fucker.
No, he's too big. And when you see him, he's actually like basically the full length of like the whole ship.
Correct.
And
a little longer maybe.
A little, yeah. And he throws the harpoon, and this is where I have a problem with the problem of harpooning whales, which is, so you're just going to hope that this animal that has a super thick hide is going to die from your little harpoon before it reaches a depth where it brings you down with it?
Correct. Well, that was weird, and I was thinking, like, I feel like we're missing something from the whaling. All you whaling experts out there listening to this, like, you don't just throw a harpoon and kill the whale with one harpoon hit, right? I mean, you have to bring it in close to the boat and fucking hit it with something.
Right. Why don't you guys harpoon us with some information on whaling?
Ooh. Pretty good.
Yeah. It's a podcast joke. None of them are really good.
But yeah, so he throws the harpoon at the giant whale. The giant whale like whips around the ship, and the rope that's attached to the harpoon. I thought this was a fantastic action sequence.
Yeah.
Breaks all the like mass of the boat, and the boat gets basically torn in half.
And then all the oil that they got from the one whale catches on fire, sets their whole ship on fire. They are fucked within 15 minutes of meeting this thing.
It's funny because I like at this point I'm like, oh, this all right. I don't need coffee anymore. I'm pretty interested in what's happening right here.
Right. And at that point, I was like, okay, that was legitimately good, but I was still fighting the movie because I was like,
it's a good action scene, but you don't really give a shit if any of the characters in that scene survive or not.
Yeah, I was mad. Well, I was like, you haven't earned this yet from me. And the music is all like triumphant and shit. And that's another comment I want to make. The music is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. It's the one thing that's consistently good from beginning to end.
I would agree.
But yeah, I wasn't fully on board. It wasn't until, so they end up on their rafts. And that's when you get some real character shit, actual acting and character dynamics.
Right, the characters stop being the one-note versions of themselves, and all of a sudden they have personality. Now, I do want to throw out a a kudos to Tom Holland, because I feel like his character was kind of interesting from the beginning.
Yeah, he was the one singular character that was actually, like, you're right. He was the one character that was good from the beginning.
And I think that that's attached to him telling this story, maybe. Because
he's the old man.
Right. So he's the old man who's telling this story, but it's him, 60 years earlier, 40, whatever.
Yeah, and those who don't know who Tom Holland is, he's the kid who plays Spider-Man now.
Yep, and the older version of him is, I feel like we should quickly shout out to the cast of this.
Right.
Brendan Gleeson plays the old version of him. He's in a show, Mr. Mercedes, on Audience. It's based on a Stephen King book. He's been in a ton of stuff. He was in, like, Beowulf.
He was also Harry Potter, Mad Eye Moody.
Yes, correct. He's
Can't
in
believe
it.
I pulled that name.
Ben Whishaw, who plays Paddington.
Yep.
And Q in the James Bond movies is
Yep.
in it. They're the two that are. He's a writer who's come to interview Brendan Gleeson because he's obsessed with the story, and
Yes.
he wants the real story so he can turn it into a book.
Absolutely.
Now, in the other cast, you have Thor and
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. There was the guy who plays Benjen Stark. There's Tom Holland.
Yep.
There's the captain. I feel like I've seen him before. But
I know I've seen him. I just can't place
and
him.
he's good. He ends up good in this, I would say.
Everybody ended up good.
Right.
And it's, like I said, it's based on the actor's will to make the movie good.
Right. It is not a script thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
the
not
script
a
was
good
so
script.
broken at the beginning, it was
Right.
ridiculous. But yeah, they end up on these boats and then they end up stranded. And then Thor finds these bodies and he's like, these people were waiting for a ship.
Yeah, they're stranded on an island. They end up on an island. On their way to the island, the whale strikes again.
Which is, okay, even though I like the second half, I'm like, no fucking way does this whale. It was the one part of the second half where I was like, I don't know if I buy that this whale is just going to continue.
So that's where the mythical story of Moby Dick. I mean, he's not just a whale. He's like this legendary fucking creature.
Yes. Because it doesn't
he's representative of their fate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he is hell come to pay.
Yes.
He's come to pay the pipe or he's come to make them pay.
It's the whole pride comes before the fall.
Right. So he destroys their boats and shit, and they end up on this island. Somehow they get their boats back, but we'll just ignore that.
Well, what it is their boats get kind of torn up, but they
repair them.
They repair them,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, fine. But anyway, they're on the desert island. Continue.
And they find a cave, and it's got people in it, and they're all kind of mummified, and he's like, these people were waiting for a ship. We've been doing these smoke signals trying to get ships forever. We're not going to die like them. We have to leave. So they set out again. Well, guess what? The fucking whale comes back again, but not before some real shit happens.
Yeah, and this was where the movie had me.
Yeah.
There's basically a scene where, they're starving.
Yeah.
Like, they can't get food. They've got, like, these tiny bits of rations left.
Yes.
Literally, a character starves to death on the boat.
Yep.
And I was not going into this thinking it would be a cannibal movie.
Right.
But... yeah, they end up, the character dies, and one of the other characters is about to toss him over the side of the boat, and basically Thor says, look, like a good sailor knows you can't ever get rid of something that could still be of use to you.
Yes.
And all the characters realize what he's talking about is eating him. He's the food.
Yep.
And yeah, I didn't see that coming. Even though it was set up sort of because you had Brendan Gleeson, the old version of Tom Holland. Basically, he has never wanted to tell this story. He kind of has to get coaxed into telling the story. Right. I was led to believe it was just, it's a scary story because this whale was so scary.
Yes.
But really, no, it's the character aspect of...
It's the guilt of having to have eaten a human being to stay alive.
God, what a great scene that was.
When his wife overheard him
tell that and just the scene.
Oh, and when they did it, yeah, because Hemsworth nails it because they're all becoming a little gaunt at this point. They're not as gaunt as they eventually become, but he's out of it. And then Holland fucking just knocks it out of the park.
Right.
And he starts tearing up. Jesus Christ, the kid can act.
Yeah, he's really good.
Like I was blown away.
Yeah, he's a very good actor. As are a lot of people in this.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy, he dies on the island. And he has a nice... Now, they don't flesh out his and Hemsworth relationship, but they're supposed to have known each other from a very young age.
Yeah, this is a classic. This is an earlier problem with the script where, they say show, don't tell.
Yes.
This is the opposite of that. They were friends.
Yeah, they just exposition line. They were friends. They know each other from a long time ago.
Right.
But he dies on the island. That was a pretty great... we assume he died. Actually, no, they said that they actually came back. Hey,
kudos to them.
Yeah.
They didn't just leave something out there. They actually tied it up at the end.
But goddamn, he looked awful. But yeah, Hemsworth, and as the movie goes on, they start getting skinnier and skinnier, and these actors actually fully lost the weight. They were all on 500 to 800 calorie diets, which is complete insanity when you think about the fact that like a meal from McDonald's is over 1,000 usually.
Yeah.
So they became incredibly skinny. And then by the end...
for a short period of time in the movie,
yes.
like running time-wise, it's bizarre.
But I tip my hat to these actors because holy shit.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
What's his name? Thor looked just awful.
He looked awful.
Yeah.
And Holland, for a kid his age,
right.
I'm like, Jesus, I don't know if I would have wanted to do that at that age. But,
man. Put me in a movie.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. And then Holland, when they finally find land, and they're not back at Nantucket, but they're Spain or something like. I don't remember where they landed, but they finally see it, and he is freaking out that they finally see land. But he's so, he's starving, so he can't even really freak out. And Hemsworth is dying in the boat, and it was an emotional scene for me.
It was a great scene.
Yeah.
Back up 1 second.
Okay.
I know we don't want to make this messy, this discussion of this movie, but I feel like we should talk about the scene where they saw Moby Dick again.
Yes.
And Hemsworth has a chance to maybe hurt it.
Yes.
And Moby Dick doesn't hurt them.
Yes.
And Hemsworth sees the scar that he left.
Yeah.
And he decides it's just not
I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
Now, I thought that was a little, okay, what are you going for here? But
I thought it was maybe going back to his whole thing about we have hubris, who did we think we were going out there and trying to do all this?
Sure.
That's what I just thought it was
well,
sort
you're
of
right. And he had the conversation with the captain earlier. There was a conversation basically where the captain is of the belief that we are God's creatures and what we do with anything else that's here.
Yes.
We are the perfect species.
Yes.
And he's trying to get, Thor to kill this whale. And Thor's like, well, we're paying for something.
Yeah.
We've done wrong.
Yes.
So that's kind of the wildlife,
It's the wildlife and it's the whole hubris of man. It is very cocky to think that you can go out. You're literally going out into their habitat.
Correct.
On a little thing and hoping that thing doesn't break.
Yep.
And it broke. And it nearly killed all of them.
Hemsworth says, I need some good juju here.
Yes.
So I'm just going to let this thing go.
And he looked at it and he was that was another scene where Hemsworth really knocked it out of the park. Now his accent was terrible at the beginning.
Yeah.
He settled on it at the end, I think.
But yeah, but that was a good scene. You're right. The mutual respect between the man and beast.
Because he had a respect, but he also had a tremendous fear in his eye also.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Hemsworth, you are between this and Rush, I'm like, you are a straight up good actor.
Yeah, you're pretty good. I'm not going as far as you are.
Well, I'm not saying he's great.
Yeah, he's pretty good though.
But he's good. But yeah, so we thought at the beginning of the movie that Tom Holland's character was the only one who survived.
Right.
False.
Yeah, few of them survive.
They get off the boat and it's 5 or 6 of them.
Right.
And it's another one of those scenes where I'm like, they actually nailed it. He gets to go and see his wife and the child that she had while he was away because she was pregnant when they left.
We are certainly not left wanting for anything at the end.
Yeah, they wrap up everything. It's pretty good.
Yeah, which is hilarious because it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking about through text how the narrative, the narration by older Tom Holland's character is so detrimental to the beginning, but by the end you get these great moments like his wife saying, "I would have loved you."
It doesn't matter. His wife overhears him telling the story of the cannibalism.
Yeah.
And basically he's like, how could my wife ever love me? And blah, 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 blah. But she's overhearing this, and she comes in the room and says, like, I would have loved you the same. It doesn't matter.
So that like completely... I don't want to say it salvages it because it doesn't, but it justifies.
It's pretty fucking good.
It's a great scene.
Well, and it's the way that they tie in the fact that this is how Moby Dick was created, because this author who's doing the interview ends up taking this story and making a fictional, fantasy version of it.
How did you feel about that line that he has near the end, old Tom Holland? I keep on forgetting the actor's name.
Brendan Gleeson.
How did you feel about... Yeah, well, he's a good actor.
He is good.
But how did you feel about that line that he had near the end? Oh, I heard that there was this man who found oil in the ground.
I kind of liked it.
I was of two minds on the line because I'm like, God, that is really fucking cheesy.
Well, it's kind of interesting because like, oh, well, that's going to solve all our problems, right? But now, I mean, you've got the whole debate going on over how righteous that is too, right?
Well,
so,
and then the thing that I thought was great thematically about it was it made everything that happened superfluous.
Right. Everything that he fucked with all this shit for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that, but maybe it was the way that the line was delivered, or maybe it was just the way that the line was written. But I was like, there is something funky about this line. It's not hitting the way I would like it to.
I was okay. At this point, the movie had turned me around, and anything it was doing, I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Right. I mean, I will say this. If I had felt the way I felt at the beginning, if I had felt that at the end, I would be not happy with that line.
No, it'd be cheesy bullshit. Right.
But as it is, I'm like, it's fine. I have problems, but it's fine.
But yeah, speaking of the ending, they get back. Then there's going to be there's going to be questions about what the fuck happened here. And the businessmen who basically commissioned this ship, and they everybody works for these big businessmen,
big whaler oilers,
right? The oil man,
yes,
as what's his name in There Will Be Blood would say.
Yes, the oil man. Right. I drink your milkshake.
Right. Yeah. So they want answers. And, they know the truth because the captain told them the truth, but they said, look, you can't say that. So the captain pulls in Thor, and basically they have a conversation of like, look, this is what we need to say, because if we don't say this, then the oil industry is going to take this massive hit, because nobody's going to want to go out there if there's a giant fucking demon whale out there.
Yeah.
And basically Thor has a really great scene where he basically says like, look, this isn't the right thing to do. I'm not going to do it, and you shouldn't either. He looks at the captain and he says, you shouldn't either, because at this point they have gotten kind of friendly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They came to see each other's worth, and they came to a mutual respect for each other.
Right, which is funny because this would have been great if this seeing each other's worth would have been great if we knew going in that the captain had any worth. Because he's not a bad guy by the end. You know what I'm saying? So, why did you introduce him as this one-note fucking bad, hateable guy?
Right.
You know?
Well, and exactly.
But anyways, so the captain is the one, because Thor won't testify or whatever when they can ask what the fuck happened. Thor just refuses. So the captain's the one who's got to do it. So the captain goes in and they set up the scene, and it's like, okay, well, what's he going to do? And I wasn't sure that he was going to.
I wasn't sure either.
Right. So he goes in and he basically says, a whale sunk us. We didn't go to ground. A whale sunk us. And he tells the truth. And it was a really well done scene, I thought.
Yep, they and like we said, they sent the people back to the island to get the people who stayed on the island.
Correct.
Jesus, I mean, holy shit. They wrapped up everything, every character, even with how shitty those arcs were set up in the beginning, somehow they became emotionally satisfying at the end.
I think it was because it turned into a neat adventure story once they went out to see those whales.
Right.
And there were really good, powerful scenes and good performances that kind of, it didn't matter very much. Now, the problem is This could have been a fucking great movie.
Yes.
In my opinion. I mean, if you set this
wasted
up... Oh, yeah, it's
potential.
horrible. It's horrible that it was wasted like this. It really was.
Because, goddamn, they set up Hemsworth just as like this giant meathead.
Yep.
And they do the cliche, oh, he's got a wife and she's pregnant, and oh, he's got to get back. And like, it would be so much better if we didn't see them, because those scenes didn't even work, really. They were so 100%.
Cliche. It would have been more powerful to just like have him. He talks of this family that you never met, and that's how you introduce his character. That he's got a family. We have never seen the family. Whatever.
Yes.
And then at the end, you finally meet the family. That would have been interesting.
Well, and it would be good too, because we can learn about the character through the way that he talks about the family.
Right.
Because we're sort of saying, or we're doing what we said not to do, which is Cillian Murphy character showed tell don't show.
Correct.
But at the same time, it depends on how you tell, because if a character is talking in a specific way about his wife, you can really tell how he feels about his wife.
Right, but I mean, even though we see him with his wife at the beginning, they don't show us anything.
No,
I mean, it's not like we see their relationship.
It's
and
very...
it's like they basically tell us.
Yes.
Only there's no mystery involved in any of it.
It's just very standard. Oh, you're going to go off on that whaling adventure again, aren't you? Yes, well, I'm a whaler, ma'am.
I'll be back in 2 years.
Yes.
A normal person takes 3, but I'll take 2.
Yes, I'll be back. I guarantee it. You're going to like the way you look.
Yeah, so it was very bizarre. But But to summarize, movie starts off
utter shit.
Correct. It ends up really good.
Yeah.
Overall, it's okay.
Yeah. But that's been another episode of Bored and Annoyed. Where can they reach us, Jackson?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We now have a Twitter handle. That's at Boredannoyed. And then we also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/bored-and-annoyed.com. Or wait, no .com at the end. And the email address is coupleofdudes@boredandannoyed.com.
Love the new email, by the way.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see if we keep that email address. I'm having some trouble remembering it, so I'm kind of trying to think of something catchier. But
right, I think that people should email us about sequels that they would like to see.
Sure,
a movie that deserves a sequel from 20 to 30 years ago.
Yeah, so if anything, you could do that, and we'll mention it on the next episode or a future episode or whatever. The other thing that would really help us out is apparently the way the iTunes algorithms work. The more star ratings we get, the more visible we are. So click those star ratings on iTunes if you're an iPod or whatever listener. If you listen on Stitcher, do the same.
Yeah, it's just like kindergarten. You get a gold star. Why don't you give us a good 4 or 5 out of there? Right,
and it's funny. I've actually got a thought. I've been buying all these 4K Blu-rays of movies I already own. So maybe I'll think of some way to ship those out to people. The Blu-rays I have.
Love it.
Not if maybe they don't have any interest.
Not that it's bribery or anything.
Yeah,
but hey, maybe the first person to give us 5 stars on every format maybe gets a
copy of Watchmen. But no,
the Blue Dawn
version. I'm thinking of maybe doing like a Twitter or sharing thing, and share, and you have a chance of getting something. But I'll think of something.
Yeah,
soon.
I love it. Yeah, and next week, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 next week, and Solo the week after.
Yeah,
couple big weeks.
Real excited. Real excited.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.